It's a basic need, but in Baltimore, it's becoming increasingly unaffordable. A new study from Food and Water Watch shows that half of all Baltimore households will not be able to afford water by 2019. The organization has urged Baltimore City Council to take action.
Well, we hope to see percentage of income billing, capping water bills at a level that households can afford to pay. We hope to see a robust piece of legislation from the council.
And the City Council says they're heeding Food and Water Watch's call for reform. In 2018, City Council will propose a bill to limit the price of water to make it affordable for low-income families.
The bill should be coming out in January at our next council meeting.
The efforts have been led by Councilmember Bill Henry and Council President Jack Young.
We're working along with the administration and the advocates to come up with a bill that could pass legal muster, because we recognize that some of these bills are just too high for our citizens to pay, and we're going to look at affordability in terms of what they pay.
Henry told The Real News that the bill would include income-based water billing.
And in Philadelphia, the legislation that passed specifically called for income-based water billing. They're looking at something similar now in Chicago. Is that on the table for Baltimore?
That's what we're looking at.
A similar proposal was recently introduced in Chicago by Alderman Carlos Rosa, a proposal that Grant said was very ambitious.
Well, this bill is actually really groundbreaking. It's based on a bill that was done in Philadelphia, but it goes even further than that. So it actually caps water bills at a level that each and every household can afford to pay. This is a percentage of income water affordability program. It's commonly done in the gas and electricity sectors, but Philadelphia was the first city in the country to do it for water.
Here in Baltimore earlier this year, the city hiked the price of water by an average of 9.5%, and prices are set to go up again at the same rate in 2019. Baltimore's Department of Public Works, or DPW, said that they need the additional funding in order to fund better infrastructure and a more efficient billing system. They say they've spent $900 million in the last 15 years on sewer repairs.
DPW is pushing back both on the idea that they can afford to reduce what they charge to people at the lower end of the spectrum without impacting their total revenue in order to do as much debt service as possible, to float as many bonds as possible, to do as much work as possible.
But Mary Grant says that this kind of legislation can actually help the city draw in more revenue for things like infrastructure repairs. Because if more people can afford to pay their bills, more people will pay them.
By not having an affordability program, it's actually fiscally irresponsible of the city not to address the affordability problem, because they're going to keep having to use these really expensive collection methods, these punitive collection methods, like shutting off water service, sending homes to tax sale. These methods of collecting on households that are just punishing them for being poor.
We reached out to the Department of Public Works for comment, and they said the coming water affordability legislation is just that, coming next year. Naturally, we will be happy to work with the council, but right now, there really isn't anything to comment about. Meanwhile, we are continuing our outreach efforts to make people aware of the assistance programs available. Grant says there are many benefits to making water affordable.
Making an affordability program, implementing an affordability program, will have widespread benefits for the city, not in terms of just equity and justice, public health, but also in terms of fiscal responsibility. It's the fiscally responsible thing to do as well.
And Henry agreed.
But at the end of the day, people need to have water to live. And it's a good thing for Baltimore City as a whole to not have tens of thousands of people trying to live here without having access to fresh water and working sewer capability, because historically that tends to be a bad thing for the city and for public health in general.
Young says the council's bill will not only deal with the cost of water, but also tackle the cost of sewage and distribution, and also of maintenance.
But I don't think the price of the water is the real issue. Is that sewage charge and that distribution charge that is greater than the water itself. Because if you have a leaky faucet, you got to make sure that's fixed. All those things. So once we get all those things done and a person's home is, leak proof, we want to make sure that they can afford the water that they are actually using.
The Real News will continue to report on this coming legislation. For The Real News, Tharna Noor, Baltimore.